Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest Tune installment for KeepDataPrivate. We are gathering here again to have conversations about data. Most importantly, our private data, personal data, and how it can be protected, and what we as individuals can do, as well as what we can do as part of organizations or our own companies in terms of coming up with good, novel solutions to keep everyone's data more private, more controlled, and most specifically under your own control. So I'm going to hand over to Marcel. He mentioned he has some good thoughts prepared for today. So Marcel, over to you.
Hi. I really just wanted to mention a open source library. I mean, they are a for-profit company. They do sell a commercial version and an enterprise version, but they do have an open source version of their software. The software is called SQL Cipher, and basically it's an open source extension to SQLite. SQLite is in the public domain. The software creators released SQLite to the public domain, so anybody can use it to do whatever they like with it. It does make it a bit more challenging for updates and things like that, because every update also needs to be put into the public domain. But it is a great and efficient SQL database that people can use, and it's very lightweight, so it can be included in applications, mobile phone applications, as well as desktop applications for basically including a database in any software that you want to use. And what the company is called Zetatic, have created SQL Cipher, and they basically extended SQLite, and basically it adds the 256-bit AES encryption, which is the current standard for encryption. It's basically a not known to be decryptable standard. One of those calculations where they say it will take 10 times the lifetime of the universe to be able to crack the encryption. And they've basically built the 256-bit AES encryption into the SQLite, so that every SQLite database created with their version is encrypted, and that's the database file itself that's encrypted. So you can then keep the database file on your computer or on your phone and not worry about if your phone gets stolen that somebody will be able to access the data. So this is precisely the kind of thing that we're looking for when we want to try and protect your personal data. So for example, the My Period Data is Mine application that we're working alongside with is a prime example where we want to encrypt the database itself, and only somebody with the passcode can access the data inside the database, and basically to decrypt the database file before being able to access anything on it. So even if somebody gets physical access to the phone, gets physical access to the database file itself, they still cannot access the data that's stored in it without the passcode that the user uses. They talk about a whole bunch of other additional benefits, such as tamper-resistant design, that I would still need to look into to understand fully what they mean. But I think it's a really great bit of software, an extension to SQLite that I like already, that provides the encryption, exactly the type of encryption that we're looking for going forward. So it's early days yet. I've managed to create an application, encrypt the database, tested it, make sure that as long as you have a passcode assigned to the database, that you cannot unlock it. You cannot access the data using the outline tools, but looking at the database itself and seeing what one can do and what one can't do by having physical access to the database. I mean, they have their own demos to show that that works, but it's useful to actually understand for ourselves how to do it and how to do it for ourselves. So yeah, it's a tool that definitely we'll be looking into in the next couple of weeks. But it's the kind of thing we've been looking for regarding keeping your data safe for applications that you create.
Thank you, Marcel. And thanks for mentioning also my period data is mine. Progress is going well at the moment to have the first version ready soon. It can't happen soon enough, in my opinion, given that there are more and more reports of data being misappropriated by law enforcement and women being punished for needing medical care. So keeping data private becomes more and more important in the current political climate.
No, it's a perfect example to show why it's so important to keep your data private, because this kind of information, this kind of data is being used against people that they thought was personal data for themselves, and they've now had it exposed and it's been used against them. Information they thought was private, and it's just not.
Yes. And linked to that is that last week within the EU, there was a vote scheduled on whether the EU should have powers to listen in on chat conversations. The vote, thank goodness, was postponed. It's at least a small step in the right direction. Personally, my stance is that nobody should ever be allowed to listen in on any conversation, whether it's written or spoken, and that's that. Let's see what happens to the to this topic and the outcome of that vote. But I would suggest everyone, in case you haven't heard about that, to go and have a look at the write-ups, opinion pieces, and we can discuss next time at our call. But when I saw what is being proposed, I just thought, no, it's. I was alive in 1984. I have read 1984. I do not want to live in 1984.
Yes, and there's also the Canadian law that's been passed. That's not just your current behavior that's been punished, but your past behaviors. So they backdating, and I don't think it's backdating is the right word, but they retroactively enabling a new law that makes actions that you made in the past and basically data that you may have shared in the past, which wasn't illegal back then, is now illegal. And it doesn't actually matter what the law is, and doesn't actually matter what's been made illegal. The fact that data is being used against people retroactively.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you think, it doesn't matter now, the law can change, and then it may be too late because the data is already available and accessible. Even if you decide, I'm now going to encrypt my data, going forward, it's too late. So I think it's vitally important people wake up and realize that it's important to encrypt your data now, and make sure that the data is not accessible to anyone except yourself, and you decide who you want to share your data with, because who knows, these conversations that we're having today, for example, may be declared illegal in the future. The fact that we're talking about trying to keep our own data private may be made illegal in the future, and if these conversations themselves are publicly available, there's nothing we can do to stop that data being made available. But it's to say I'm going to encrypt it in the future is, if when necessary, is too late.
Yes, and even more so, I have seen quite a few comments that suggested that, okay, so what? I'm just going to delete my data. I'm going to delete my tweets. I'm going to delete my blog posts, and so on. And as Marcel said, it is too late. There are backup copies at the platforms. Other companies have copies of them. There are web archives out there. The information is there. You can't take it back anymore.
No, it's unless you are in control of your data, and you control who has access to it. As soon as you upload your data into the cloud, you no longer are in control of that data. Somebody else can get access to it. If they get a copy of it, even if you delete it, it's not. It's too late.
Exactly.
I mean, just backups are an interesting one. I worked for a company. I won't mention their name, but they were horrified when I was working in the IT department. They were horrified to find out that we had backups of digital calendars dating back years, and we basically had historical data of who this person met and when they met them, dating back years. And the chief executive was absolutely horrified that we could maintain this data for so long.
Okay, I won't suggest to go and look at your LinkedIn and have a guess. Just have a guess. Neither will I go into many a story about how sheer incompetence in setting up good backups saved the day.
Yeah.
So yes, I have been interested in data and security for a long time. My suggestion to anyone out there, especially if you're in an underrepresented group or minority, the minority being any female out there as well. Yes, 50% are considered a minority these days. My suggestion to you is be very, very careful. Keep your data encrypted. Don't share it with people. Don't trust people, even close friends. Situations can change. Just assume that your data is yours, and you must protect it by any means necessary.
Yeah. And keep control of your own data. Vitally important.
Yes. Yes. And I'm not going to mention Trump now, and having had the copy of the checks signed by him himself, again, is part of data. It's his data, it's his check, his signature, his knowledge, his implication, his crime, his conviction. Things happen. So what do you think is safe now may not be in the future. If you're in a group that may not be on the winning end at this point in time, be careful. Think about what you do. Think about where you put your data.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Now I feel like I've put a downer on the conversation.
Yeah, and talk about the EU. It's also important that people realize that they can contact their members of parliament, and in the case of the EU, they're members of the European Parliament. If you are a citizen of the EU, you should know how to contact your member of the European Parliament so that you can contact them and express your opinion on these matters, because quite often the members of parliament don't know. If they're not given information, they basically vote on what they are told. And if the person trying to implement the law is the point they get only source of information they get, then they don't know. So it's important to contact your MEP, even if it's just to say, I disagree with this, I've read it, I don't disagree with it. They then are aware that there are citizens out there that disagree with a proposed law and things like that. Even if it's just awareness, that's a step in the right direction. If you are more informed and you can, help your MEP understand what the implications are, even better. But just because you don't understand it yourself, you can't express your opinion and let your MEP know about it. So I think it's important people know how to contact their members of parliament, know how to contact their members of the European Parliament, and whatever country you're in, your local representative, knowing how to contact them, and being able to send them an email or give them a phone call or whatever it is that you prefer means of communication. Just get in touch. But to be able to do that, you need to know how to. So I think it's a good example of use it as a test platform to get out there and communicate with your representative and let them understand that you understand the negative impacts of increased surveillance and how that impacts our society.
And things like these do have a positive impact. I myself have been in touch with my local member of parliament many years ago, based on a neighborhood dispute that unfortunately I got roped into, and just reaching out, having somebody who is aware of the situation is a good starting point. It does help. The My situation was resolved positively for everyone, and just having politicians being aware as a starting point is definitely a good suggestion,
Yeah.
because not everyone is a technical person, not everyone understands the intricacies of technology and the impact in the long term. So it's really important to talk about it, and that includes the people who take decisions on our behalf.
Yeah. And it's not to say that, our representatives are bad intention. They're just, many times just ignorant. They just don't understand the implications. It all sounds good and it sounds like it's been done for the right reasons, but without stopping to think about the long-term implications, the wrong decisions get made quite often.
Yes, for example, the law in Canada that you just mentioned that made hate speech illegal even retrospectively. First of all, my understanding is, and please, if you're out there and you're listening to us now, if you disagree with what we're saying, please get in touch, leave a comment, tell us, because we don't know everything either. But my understanding on the new Canadian law is that the hate speech has not been clearly defined. And now imagine what happens if the government changes. The current government came about with that law. They have an idea of what they mean by it, of what it should be used for. But imagine it's somebody else who is going to steer the ship. What is going to happen then? How are they going to be using that law?
We've already seen that in many countries where just expressing an opinion that's contrary to the current government, right, is viewed as hate speech. So it's already a problem, with just being able to communicate freely, and how the definition of what is hate speech. We may all think, it's bad. People shouldn't be spouting hate, but it's very easy to turn that around and stop just about any commentary on any subject. Never mind retroactively making it illegal. So you think, you've got the right to, express your opinions, like I'm saying now, we're expressing our opinions about certain things. But, what happens if in the future that is made retroactively illegal?
Yes, exactly. So,
Did you have something else you wanted to add today?
no, not today. There is There are a lot of things in the works at the moment. So first of all, some updates to our website, putting these videos on YouTube, linking our Patreon page to our website, having a donation button on our website as well, given that we're spending and will be hopefully spending more time on this project. Trying to go out and build collaborations and connections with like-minded people, trying to get into the press at some point once our individual projects are finishing. So as soon as we have the My Period Data is Mine app available for download, there will be a nice big launch, and I hope we can take that out into the wider world, especially in those countries where the poorer population doesn't have access to menstruation tools like these, such as the US at this point in time.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of activity, and it will come through over the next few weeks, hopefully before the next meeting. Again, our meetings are not the last Tuesday, it's the fourth Tuesday in the month, being very precise here, fourth Tuesday of the month. They are 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so 4 p.m. UTC. And we're saying UTC because we're all in different time zones. There's summertime, there is wintertime. Some countries have wintertime and summertime, some don't. So please have a look how that relates to your location every fourth Tuesday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon UTC.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good. If there's nothing else for today, then I say thanks a lot, Marcel. And thanks for listening to us, to everyone out there. And I hope you're going to join us in person at some point and that we have a good conversation and spread the word about how important it is to keep your data private and locked up.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Bye bye.